A Life in Jail Prison Guide. Chapter 1. Arrest in Jail. If you get arrested 1. All arrests require probable cause that you committed a crime. A person can be arrested if the police have probable cause, which means that they reasonably have enough facts and evidence to believe that you committed a crime. The police can detain a person for up to 48 hours only at a police station or jail without charging him, but then they must let him go if they don't charge him. They can't arrest you on suspicion alone. They must have some evidence, otherwise it's false arrest. If a cop wastes 20 minutes on you, it may make him look bad if he has to let you go, so he may charge you with a cheap misdemeanor like resisting arrest or disturbing the peace just to keep his ego intact. Probable cause comes from the cop gathering the evidence that's around in plain sight or on the word of a trustworthy informant. If you're out in public, the cop doesn't need a warrant to arrest you. If you're in your home or in a hotel room, he needs a warrant to arrest you. If you get arrested, you're on their turf now, so be meek and humble, play their game. You can't win with them, so don't try to get your frustrations out or be a hero. Control your emotions and keep your mouth shut at all times. Don't grovel. You are in control of yourself, they are only in control of the situation. The corrections and law enforcement staff might appear compassionate and sympathetic, but don't trust anybody. They all bow down to the one truth: cover my own ass, screw everybody else, and they commonly play the good cop, bad cop game. It works amazingly well. After you're arrested, the police are allowed to search your body without your consent. They can search your person in all places in your reach area and do an inventory search of the property in your car. Beyond that, your ass belongs to the cops. You have very few rights until you're released. A cop can use reasonable force to restrain you. Cops can use minor bodily intrusion to do things like check your orifices for drugs or forcibly draw blood for a drug and alcohol test. Your best bet is to keep your mouth shut, do not fall prey to their tricks, and speak only if you have your lawyer present. Otherwise, cooperate fully to avoid hassles. Go with the program. Don't make any deals with the police without your lawyer present, because they often don't honor them. Don't talk to cellmates about your charges, because that can be used against you in court. Do not represent yourself in court. Get a legal aid lawyer if you have to. Make your phone calls, but beware that the phone could be bugged. If the cops interrogate you, don't volunteer anything. Most interrogation rooms have a hidden video camera in them. If they make a deal, get it in writing with your lawyer present. Cops have all the tricks. Don't fall for any of them. If you're treated unfairly, file a writ of habeas corpus to get before a judge to lodge a complaint. Ask your lawyer about it. Once you got the basic rules down, the rest of the procedure is just one big game, except that the stakes are kind of high: your freedom. The general procedure is: 1. Arrest. 2. Initial questioning. 3. Booking. 4. More questioning. 5. Arraignment, evidentiary hearing, administrative hearing, automatic in a traffic case, otherwise rare, grand jury indictment. 6. Trial. 7. Sentencing. 8. Appeals, pre-trial services, trials, and sentencing. Act cooperative while refusing to say anything if you can help it. There are lots of different times where they will try to question you. Even other prisoners may be sent in to try to get you to talk if you are important to them and you're being a tough nut to crack. Volunteer for nothing. Don't complain. Don't ask for anything. You're the one in control here, not a wimp. Act like it. Be respectful. Don't act better than them or they will take it out on you. Cops have deep fears of being inferior to others because they're lowly blue-collar workers in the grand pecking order. Your complaints will go in their report. Just try to be as cooperative as possible physically, because it's not going to be worth your effort to resist. Besides, it will give them a reason to muddle your character in court. At the jail, they will fingerprint you, take a mugshot and run them through the National Crime Computer, NCIS, to verify your identity and to see if you've got any outstanding warrants against you for other crimes. A warrant is an order for your arrest. It's usually issued when you don't go to your court trial or violate your parole/probation. They assess a bond on you based on the charge. This is the amount of money you can put up right there on the spot to get out of jail. You can pay by credit card. If it's a serious charge, there's no bond. This is called remand, and if convicted later, it counts as time served. If it's something minor like shoplifting, it might carry a $300 bond. That means if you can give them $300, they will write out a summons for you to appear in court on a certain date for your trial and you're free to go. You will get the $300 back if you show up for court. If not, it's forfeit and a warrant is issued for your arrest. They give you a phone call where you can call either a lawyer, friend, relative or bail bondsman out of the phone book to bail you out. A bail bondsman is a businessman who makes money by putting up the money for people's bonds in exchange for their 10% payment of the bond value, but it's a risk for him if you skip. He loses the money he put up, so they check you out before they decide to bond you. If it's a bond for less than $3,000, it might not be worth his while to even bother bailing you out. They usually want a reference of an upstanding citizen in the community. If you don't bond out, you go to an arraignment the next morning where you set your plea and the judge decides how much to set your bond so that you can get out until your trial date. He might let you out with no bond, especially if you're a first offender. This is called ROR, released on your own recognizance. Before you are arraigned, they will probably keep you in a holding cell. They will send a pre-trial services representative to try to get you to tell them your side of the story. This is the same routine as booking. Don't answer anything. At arraignment, the magistrate or judge will read the complaint, information, or indictment against you and ask if you understand it. He is supposed to inform you of your right to assistance of counsel, that you are not required to make any statements and that any statement may be used against you. The whole point of this procedure is only to tell you what you have been charged with and to make sure you understand it. If the complainant drops the charges during the interim to the trial date, in all likelihood, the charges will be dismissed when you go to court unless the police want to pursue it on their own. In cases of domestic violence, the battered spouse has no say in charging the batterer. If the police see the signs, they must arrest the perpetrator and charge him. During the trial, if you plead not guilty, you will be allowed to state your case and cross-examine any witnesses. You have the right to a trial in front of a judge or jury. A jury conviction must be unanimous beyond a reasonable doubt, so if there's ambiguity, there's a good chance of at least one dissenter in a jury, resulting in a hung jury, meaning no conviction for the moment, although the district attorney may choose to try the case again. You have the right to a speedy trial and a speedy appeals process. If you decide to plead guilty, try to get a good plea bargain through your lawyer with the prosecutor. In a nutshell, if you're stopped by the police, you may remain silent beyond stating your name and address. The police may search you for weapons by patting the outside of your boy. Do not resist. If you are arrested after booking, you have the right to at least 2 phone calls, although many jails have phones in the community cell that you can use at will. The police must give you a receipt for everything they took from you. You have the right to hire and see an attorney immediately. If you cannot afford an attorney, the courts must provide you with one. You do not have to give a statement to the police, nor do you have to sign any statement they might put in front of you. The judge will determine whether to release you on your own recognizance, assess a bond on you, or keep you in jail on remand if he determines that you're a flight risk. The police must bring you to court or release you within 48 hours after arrest unless it's a holiday or weekend, then they must bring you to court on the immediate day after. If you get arrested too, being arrested is a drag. It stops your life cold. If you can't make bail, you're stuck until the trial. Cops nowadays don't care. They bust doors down for simple drug possession or escort services. If it's your first time being arrested, you'll be booked into jail until you go to court the next day. If you've been arrested and booked there before and the charge is minor without a bail amount, they'll book you again, give you a court date and let you go. You will be given the opportunity to make a phone call to contact a bail bondsperson or your lawyer. Hopefully you have a friend you can call who will take down your location, your booking number and the arrest charge to give the bail bonds person and/or lawyer he or she calls. If you are taken to a separate jail, the county jail, after you have been booked at the police or sheriff's station, you will have to go through the process all over again. You will be told to remove your shoes and stockings or socks and checked for drugs. If you have any jewelry and money, they will take them from you. You will be given a receipt for all your things. If it isn't listed on the receipt when they give it to you, tell them right then so they can put it on the receipt. You might be ordered to take a shower then have your head checked for lice. In any event, you will have to strip down and a guard will look up your butt. You are then given a jail gown and your bedroll and most likely go into the general prison population as opposed to solitary confinement which is for mentally ill people, suicidal people and celebrities. Now you wait for either bail to come through or your trial date. You will most likely be fingerprinted again at the jail even if they did it at the police station. You either sleep in a communal dorm or two-person cells. Very rarely do you get your own cell. There are pay phones there so you can call people you know. Wait in line to use the phones. If you think you are too good to be in jail, you'll get the cold shoulder. Just play along like everybody else. You need friends not enemies. Keep your mouth shut. Be friendly but reserved. It is difficult to know ahead of time what your bail will be because it varies from case to case. If you have prior arrests or convictions, your bail will probably be higher. Once you have posted bail, you will be given back your property and or money that you gave to the booking officer. You can take the chance of giving a fake name. If you have no ID on you that conflicts with this and if you have not been arrested before, you will be booked under that name. If you get arrested in the future, the routine fingerprint check will reveal that arrest. They might charge you for fraud without violence for using a fake name. If you don't show up at your trial, bail is revoked and there is a warrant issued for your arrest. You should eventually get back everything they take from your house or your car, but it does take a long time sometimes to get it back. Sometimes you will never get it back unless you sue. Hire a criminal lawyer or get help from a public defender. Fight for your own case. Do not assume that just because you told your attorney about something that they will pursue that information. If your lawyers won't give you a straight answer, keep after them until you know exactly where you stand. Lawyers charge different fees for different services, so it is important to get in writing exactly what they are going to do for the money you pay them. You will not get a refund if they lose your case, but if there is deliberate malpractice or incompetence, you can sue, although it is difficult to find a lawyer who will sue another lawyer. If you get arrested, 3. Use your common sense. If you're minding your own business, that's almost enough to render you safe from arrest, but not quite enough. There's a provision or a general intuitive radar that both cops use to check people out and citizens use to call the cops. Roughly, it comes down to their perception of you as either looking suspicious or acting suspicious. Even if you're hanging around in a public place doing nothing suspicious, a lot of people and cops feel uncomfortable if somebody is hanging around somewhere without an apparent purpose, so expect to get cops coming over to check you out if you're hanging around on the streets doing nothing in particular. This is a gray area between what's legal and what isn't. In my opinion, especially after the passage of the Homeland Security Acts, try to avoid loafing around in public, and if you get stopped by the cops, much of their behavior towards you will be determined by your behavior towards them, but in general, cops are a cynical bunch, expect them to be suspicious of you. If you've got warrants for arrest, that's tough. They're told to check people out and make minor arrests because they nab a lot of fugitives this way. Be as cooperative as you can if a cop stops you. That way, you will be on your way quicker. If you have a bad attitude or act like a smart ass with the cops, what do you expect? Do your homework on your local laws and know your rights before you ever get stopped by the cops. The calmer and less confrontational you are, the better luck you will have in dealing with law enforcement. Cops can generally arrest you for something as flimsy as suspicion of illegal activity. If a cop tells you to stop and you run, that's a charge of resisting arrest right there. Never touch a cop in any way. That can be defined as assault. The civil rights people say that you are under no obligation to answer any questions the police might ask you. You don't have to present identification or tell the police your name or any other information if they stop you. Technically, a judge might have that power but not the police. The exception to this rule is if you are stopped driving, as opposed to being a passenger, in a car, you must show your license, insurance, and proof of car registration. The civil rights people also say that cops have limited power to search you without a warrant. If they suspect you have a weapon on you, they can do a cursory search only, looking for weapons only, not for drugs, money, etc. Police technically need probable cause to have a reason to suspect that a crime has been committed before they can search you, your car, your house, your luggage, etc. unless they ask you for permission and you, wanting to get it over with nothing to hide, agree. You do not have to consent to these searches if they ask and you refuse. Don't resist them, just say they have no probable cause, you're minding your own business, not acting suspiciously, so there's no legal right to search you. Now, having said all that about what the ACLU and other legal experts say, generally, it doesn't work that way in real life. It's a two-way street. You supposedly have your rights. The cops have their bag of dirty tricks. Most people are ignorant of their rights and the cops generally do what they want. If you challenge them or act snotty, they will use whatever dirty tricks they have in their arsenal to arrest you and take you in. If you're breaking the law, you have good reason to be paranoid and nervous, which cops are trained to pick up on. If you have nothing to hide, what's the big deal about letting the cop search your trunk if it will help you get rid of him or her faster? If you are placed under arrest, you must be told what you are being charged with. If you are not under arrest, technically, you are free to walk away, but cops in some jurisdictions have these rules now where they can take you in without a charge, just suspicion, for up to 48 hours or so, or they will make up some charge like resisting arrest, so check up on laws in your area. The deal is that if you are not under arrest but the cops are hassling you, ask them if you are being charged, and if they say no, ask them if they are detaining you and for what reason. If they say no, leave. If they say yes, stay there but keep your mouth shut. You don't have to talk to them. I watch those shows on the A&E network where the cops arrest all these street thugs who agree to talk to them because they think it will help them and think they will learn something about how much the cops got on them. Invariably a high percentage end up confessing. If you're smart, you will wait it out, go to trial and take your chances there, or cut a plea bargain after your lawyer sees the evidence against you, but before then, there is no advantage to talking to the cops unless you're clearly innocent. If you are arrested, you have the right to contact a lawyer, a bail bondsman, friends, family, and others. Your discussions with a lawyer are legally confidential, but communication with anyone else can be legally monitored. Expect the phones at the jail to be monitored. The cops have the right to use dirty tricks to try to get you to confess, like make bold-faced lies, and they use this power liberally. They can try to intimidate or scare you into talking by telling you you're in big trouble and try to soften you up by offering to go easy if you cough up the story. Technically, the police have no authority to make plea bargain deals or determine the specific charges, but they're buddies with the district attorneys who have this power, and the two often work together. If you cooperate with the cops, they might reduce an attempted murder charge down to an assault. They don't particularly care about what charge they slap on you as long as they slap a charge on you with good evidence behind it, part of which is your confession. Incidentally, most police interrogation rooms have video and audio embedded all over them. Remember the Miranda statement, anything you say can be used against you in a court of law. It's your call as to whether you want to talk to the cops or not. If you are arrested, you should immediately say you want to talk to your lawyer and exercise your right to remain silent. Whenever you deal with the police and they do something you don't like, you are legally entitled to get the badge number and vehicle patrol number of all cops you are dealing with simply by asking for them. Write down your recollection of the event right away as soon as they leave. Look for witnesses who might have seen what happened. In general, if you're stopped by the cops, be polite and respectful. Stay calm. Don't get into an argument with them. Anything you say or do can be used against you. In all likelihood, there is a camera on in the cop car that stopped you. Don't make sudden movements. Keep your hands where the police can see them. Don't run away. Don't touch any police officer. Don't resist even if the cop arrests or hassles an innocent man. You can sort it out later. If you feel you are being wrongly dealt with, don't complain on the scene or tell the cop that you will file a complaint. Just ask for his badge number. Your best bet is usually to not talk to the cops much, but sometimes if you are innocent, it's best just to get it over with. If you feel your rights have been violated, file a written complaint with the police department's Internal Affairs Division or Civilian Complaint Board. If you are injured as the result of an incident with the police, take photographs of the injuries as soon as possible. You don't have to consent to a search of your body, property, car, or your house. If you consent to a search, it means whatever the cops find that's illegal, they will use against you legally, as opposed to finding something in a search without your consent. So the only advantage you have in agreeing to any search is if you are innocent and want to get it over with. If the police say they have a search warrant, read it before you let them in. Do not interfere with or obstruct the police if they're not addressing you specifically, otherwise they will arrest you for obstruction of justice. It is not legal for police to arrest you simply for refusing to consent to a search. If you're given a motor vehicle ticket, you should sign it if asked to, otherwise you can be arrested. Don't dispute it right there. It will just make the cop more adversarial towards you. Save it for court. If the police want to enter your home without probable cause of a crime, which is something like a hang-up 911 call, an imminent emergency like somebody screaming in the house or an individual being chased runs in there, you don't have to let them in unless they have a warrant signed by a judge. If you are arrested, the police have the right to search you and the area close by. In a building like a house, the term close by generally refers only to the room you are in. The American Civil Liberties Union has a flyer called the Bust Card which lists your rights if you get arrested. It can be downloaded at aclu.org. Life in Jail 1. Over the past 20 years, the police have changed their attitude a lot to arresting people. They don't mess around anymore. They'd rather treat you like a criminal up front than risking you being a criminal and taking any advantage of any laxness in their arrest procedure. What this means is that they might holler at you, tell you to get on the ground and manhandle you until they cuff you up. Cops everywhere are ordered to cuff all their prisoners, and it's usually to the back. They might ask you some dumb-sounding questions like, do you have any contraband or weapons on you? Contraband means anything illegal. They will check you over and then transport you to your holding cell. This could either be a cell at the police station or a cell at the county or city jail, which you will share with all the other people that have also been arrested that day. At the jail, they will fingerprint you, take a mugshot and maybe run them through the National Crime Computer to verify your identity and to see if you've got any outstanding warrants against you for other crimes. A warrant is an order for your arrest. It's usually issued when you don't go to your court trial or violate your parole/probation. They assess a bond on you based on the charge. This is the amount of money you can put up right there on the spot to get out of jail, as already discussed. If you don't make bail, they put you back into the holding cell for the night. They might lock you up in a single cell, or they might put you in a big cell with a bunch of other people. Forget about all that movie stuff you see about jails. Just about everybody in jail hates it, they're all scared and most of them are docile even if they put up loud exteriors. There might be a TV in the big cell that everyone will be watching, or they might be playing cards. They will look at you but otherwise ignore you. A lot of cons in jail have a lowlife, ghetto look about them. You might stand out a bit if you're healthy, groomed with short hair, kind of like that middle class "what the heck are you doing here with all these criminals" look. It's all groupthink. When the group of cons are together, it's all loud, boisterous, sarcasm, jokes, etc. But when you're alone with them one-on-one, they might be curious about you and ask you questions like, what's your charge, what kind of work you do, where do you live, etc. Depending on the jail, they might put you with the arrestees that day, or they might put you with a bunch who are waiting to go to court the next day. Any red-blooded American male probably spent a night or two in jail at one time or another. First, you get arrested. The charge could be either a misdemeanor, which means something minor, or something more serious, which is called a felony. Overall, your best bet is to cooperate with the police. They can give you a hard time or an easy time. They don't care, they're on the clock, they're just doing their job. If you don't cooperate, they can add a few extra charges like resisting arrest or breach of peace, and they can beat you up too. What they might do is ask you questions, then a little while later ask you the same questions to try to catch you in a lie. Some corrections guards are alright, but some are a suspicious, cynical bunch. This is the first real power they've ever had in their lives. They might feel like they have some power over you and treat you like a scumbag. Guards know they have to work there. Most try to be sociable or at least unobtrusive with the cons. Whether you have money or not, a public defender is sometimes better because they're at the court all the time, they know the people, and if you are using one of them, the judge will perceive you more like a victim of life. Either that night or early the next morning, they might send you to the district attorney's room, and a deputy will check you out to determine what to tell the judge, whether to let you go or not. They might even have a public defender there to talk to all the new arrestees. These people will be young folks right out of law school doing the crappy job of dealing with this low-level stuff. All the wealthy arrestees will already have bailed out by then. Most of your fellow cons will be there for low-level stuff like drug possession, shoplifting, traffic violations, drunk and disorderly, domestic violence, assault, etc., a typical night of arrests in any jail. You sleep on a hard bed or on the floor without a blanket. The next morning they get you up early, feed you a crappy box lunch, and they either transport you to the courthouse or they will have a video court thing set up at the jailhouse. They shackle all the arrestees together, and one by one, the judge hears the charges. If the charge is not serious and you've got community ties, they will do and roar on you, release you on your own recognizance. That means they give you a date for a trial, a phone number for the public defender's office, and they let you go. In some courts, if it's a simple charge, the judge will let you plead guilty and resolve it right there if you want, but if you plead not guilty, they set up a trial date. In most courts, you don't plead at all, they just set trial date and bond. If they give you bail, you either make it, or if you can't, you have to sit in jail in what's called remand until your trial. If you serve a lot of days and you're convicted and given jail time, they will subtract the remand time from your sentence. You will do remand in either the city or the county jail, just sitting around with all the other cons. If you go to trial and you're convicted with jail time, you go to jail for real. Many courts give first-time offenders probation and community service. Probation means you're free until you get caught and charged for another crime. Community service means that you can pick from several activities like picking garbage from the side of the highway, working at a food bank, help kids in an orphanage, etc. for X number of hours, like 100 hours of community service. House arrest means that you're allowed to go to work but you have to go home right after. They have several ways to check up on house arrests: random visits by the parole officer, computerized phone checks, and a device which you have to connect with via the device on your wrist. Because of prison overcrowding, the system uses these alternatives to give low-level offenders a chance to get it right. If there's a chance you're going to jail, take care of your affairs before you go to court for sentencing. If you have property, leave it with relatives over friends over a girlfriend, because they will end up keeping it all on you. Have someone ready to take your car and clean your apartment out for storage. If it's 2 years less a day and anything less, you usually stay at the county jail, which is basically an overcrowded pen with very few rehabilitation courses or anything like that. There are a lot of prisoners there serving short sentences. Anything more serious and you go to either a state pen or a pen in the federal system depending on the crime. Prisons vary a lot in security, minimum, medium, high, facilities, and the activities available. In some places, the warden gives the prisoners cable TV and waits because they act as babysitters and keep the population manageable. In others, it's a hard-nosed policy. Unlike the county system, In this system you will find the tough guys that wouldn't think twice about robbing you, stabbing you in the back or raping you. There are real monsters in there serving long sentences with nothing to lose, so if you cross them or you got something they want, watch it. Fortunately, most guys just wanna do their time and get the hell out, but watch out for the assholes who might try to get something from you, especially if you show signs of weakness and buy a lot of stuff from the commissary. The truth is that virtually every jail everywhere in the world is overcrowded, so if you end up in jail, don't expect much privacy. In England, prisons have become so comfortable that some people prefer to stay on the inside rather than face life outside. Life in jail too. If you expect to be found guilty of the charges filed against you, you might go for a plea bargain. If you've paid any fines, bring the receipt to court with you so that they don't send you to jail. Call the prison after you get your order to surrender. Bring everything they say on their list. If they say no personal clothing, don't bring any. Bring as much of personal items like undershorts and toothpaste as you can. No logos are allowed on any clothes. Bring a cheap wristwatch, cheap pens and pencils, athletic equipment like a weightlifting belt, gloves, etc., books to read, phone number book, medicines, doctor's letter, musical instrument, small battery-powered nightlight and your social security card. If you want to smuggle something in, wait until you get in to learn the ropes. If you get caught up front, you will alienate the guards right off. Don't bring credit cards and bring only a photocopy of your driver's license. You're not allowed to have paper money in prison. When you arrive, they will take what you have and put it in the trust fund of your commissary account. You're not allowed to fold money because it can be used as a bribe. Cigarettes are used for barter. Bring $100 per month times all the months of your sentence to use as spending money to get by. Don't tell anyone you've got money because the other cons will try to borrow from you without ever repaying it. You could get your family at home to send you money, but they might change their minds and leave you hanging, so bring it in up front. Food is a luxury item in prison. You will use this money to buy food and other trivial personal items. The prison system doesn't supply you with much. Watch out for drugs. If you got money, a dealer will try to get you hooked on heroin to suck your money out of you. Money is good to pay other prisoners for favors like an inmate lawyer to help you, a guy in food service to get you something, someone to wash your clothes and make your bed, etc. The commissary and the black market has such items as radios, TVs, tapes, small fans, street clothes, etc. You will be able to buy things that prisoners who work in places like the kitchen, stationery room, etc. steal. You can either buy a weapon or make your own. They make knives and blades out of anything. The jail system is geared to humiliate you and mess with your mind. They might strip you down, make you take your laces out of your shoes, put you in orange prison wear, and every time they move you, even if it's just down the hall, they will shackle you all up together. Some guards are buddies with the cons, some are neutral, but most think you're just another scuzzball and hate being there just as much you. Most don't even think about you. If you feel humiliated that they all think you're a crook, don't be. You're just another face to them in another day on the job. They just don't care. They're just doing a job. A lot of them are drunks. It's a high-stress job. They might have a prison nurse come over to ask you a bunch of stupid questions about suicide and all that garbage. Prison is big business, lots of jobs building them and lots of jobs running them. It's all about regimentation and no privacy. Some private companies are getting in on the business, taking prisoners under contract from the government. You're just a meaningless body among hundreds, and no employee is gonna stick their neck out for you unless it's a holy roller and you accept Jesus as your personal savior. Your best philosophy is to keep your mouth shut, look down, act humble, don't look people in the eyes too much or too long because everyone's on edge and some losers are playing a macho game. They're such losers that that's all they got going for them. Work with the program, take a course, read books, exercise, meditate, do the holy roller thing, keep your nose clean and don't trust too many people. Try to get a job in the kitchen for the food or at the library to educate yourself. If they have a trade program for something you can always use like plumbing or carpentry, take it. Once you get out, you can make money on the side with these skills. If there's a library, read their books, educate yourself. If not, get someone on the outside to send a few books a week and maybe subscribe to a few magazines. You have to learn infinite patience to be around people all the time. Freedom means the freedom to be alone. In many prisons, there's no privacy even when you poop. The toilet is in your cell. You have to poop in front of your cellmate at night. You have to be very creative if you want to masturbate. If your shower has individual stalls with curtains, you can relieve yourself in there. If not, it's doubtful you will be alone in a cell, so whatever situation you're in, you will have to try to do it quietly while your cellmates are snoring away. Hopefully, your cellmates snore to mask the noise of you pulling yourself. Even at night, you get no privacy. The screws generally walk past every hour or so. Have a strong soul and strong haven inside, because that's what will get you through. Your ability to stay calm within yourself regardless of all the crap around you done by the design of the system itself, the trivial crap the guards will throw at you, and the general low-level character of the loser cons, many of whom talk incessantly all the time. There's always a din of people talking, many of these losers with outwardly boisterous exteriors to compensate for the way they really feel inside as the losers they really are, so you're stuck listening to all these ignorant people with their phony loud conversations and their phony loud laughs. Some people will take liberties and feel they can talk to you because you're in jail, but most will keep their distance if that's what you want. It works just like out in the street. You make friends with a few people, stay neutral with most, and some you want to avoid as much as possible. If anything, you learn how to live with a large group of people if you haven't before, like maybe if you were in the military when you were young. If you're strong, jail won't change you. Use it to get stronger, develop yourself, learn about life. Ignore most people, find a few good friends to be with if you can. Go out to the yard and exercise every day. That's your life for the time being. Make the best of it. Don't lose yourself. Keep a strong hold of who you are. The greatest freedom is to be free despite your problems. Be like that in jail. You can still be free in your soul. Get what you can out of the deal. Because of overcrowding, they commonly stick two guys in a one-person cell. It's a drag. This is highly stressful and volatile. You hope that you get a good cellmate. If not, you're either stuck or try to get out of it somehow. Whatever dignity you once had is now gone. Your roommate will be there when you have to do a crap on the toilet and when you jerk off at night. Don't feel bad. He's doing the same thing. Ignore it just like he's ignoring you when you do it. As I already said, don't become overfamiliar with anyone and don't talk too much even when you get to know people. Most people are in prison because they're bad people, which means they're always scamming, and that means if they get a chance to rip you off, they will. They lie, brag, talk boisterously, steal, walk with a phony swagger and try to act tough like they were real big players on the outside. There's jailhouse justice, which equates to unfair justice. Even if you are innocent of something, if someone decides you're guilty, they will get you. In prison, people will turn on you in a heartbeat, but there are good people who got caught doing things simply to better themselves economically, not that they're bad punky people. Some drug dealers are good people who simply got caught trying to make some money. It's not like they're on the streets robbing people. Try to get into some kind of routine. Live with it the best that you can. For women, prison will be a bit different. Women get into groups called families where they all take on different roles and help each other out. If you fit in, you got it made. If not, they will give you the silent treatment. Other than that, some empty-minded people enjoy the prison life because they've got a lot of other losers there to do frivolous things with, like play cards, talk garbage, and watch TV. Some losers have friends for the first time in their lives. You don't have to keep a steady job. In many prisons you have to work, or if you do work, you get prison time reduced. You got a roof over your head and 3 square meals a day. There are other people there that feel just like you. You will find each other and work your way through it. You can pick the sensible ones from the ghetto trash just by look. They will have that self-respect look while all the others will have a scuzzy, don't give a damn look, although in their own minds they think they're pretty fantastic individuals. Prison is a growth industry, growing by 10% capacity every year. There are so many fugitives out there that the system can't keep up, and most are never brought back to justice. If you're facing stiff time and you're innocent, and everybody is, you should consider getting some fake ID, moving to a different state or country, and avoid situations where you might get a national criminal check done on your fingerprints. In jail, time is cheap. They don't care that you're wasting your precious time away. The freedoms you take for granted right now are all gone. All you do is sit there and vegetate. It's horrible if you're a person that likes to do things and had a real life on the outside. Try to learn something like how to manage your life when you get out. Don't get too lost in your own thoughts. People in jail lose touch with outside reality. They either think deep thoughts or don't think much at all. Attitude is everything. The only real prison is in your mind. One consolation is that people in jail age less than people on the outside. Many prison systems are now getting away as cheaply as they can, so they often just throw a bunch of cons together in 3-level bunk beds in barracks or tents. If you end up in one of these places, watch out, because the lack of space and privacy often leads to fights. You may get out early to go to a halfway house to do an early release work furlough program. If you get into something like this, consider yourself lucky. Only the best nonviolent prisoners get these opportunities. Keep your nose clean. They can run you back into prison for getting drunk just once. Don't mix with people outside your race too much. There's an unwritten code about people frowning on it. When I was in the city lockup, I made friends with a black guy, but they moved us to county. He was moved to a dorm with all black guys. When we met up, we talked for a few minutes and realized we weren't supposed to mix, and that was the end of it. They don't want fights over race, so they try to keep the races separate. Overall, I just worked out and read books. I couldn't stand sitting at a table watching TV with a bunch of guys. There will be several headcounts per day. They will come in and tear up your cell looking for stuff sometimes. Chapter 2. A prison slang glossary at prison-diaries.com/prison-slang-glossary-2. 13.5, 12 jurors, 1 judge, and 1/2 a chance, seen in prison tattoos. 5,150, crazy. Usually the section of the state's general statutes concerning competence to stand trial. The epub, or Aryan Brotherhood, is also known as the Brand. They are a white supremacist prison gang with a fierce reputation. Prisoners can't just join them, they have to be invited to become a member of the gang. Aggravated, inmates often use the word aggravated to mean mad, possibly give the impression that they are educated. Agitator, an inmate who manipulates other inmates into fights, normally for the pure enjoyment of watching the other inmates fight. All day, a life sentence. All day and a night, life without parole. Associate, another inmate who's not a friend but with whom you're breaking the rules. Bats, cigarettes. Backdoor parole, to die in prison. BB filler, body bag filler, usually a very ill prisoner. Bean slot, the opening in the cell door where food is delivered, usually indoors in restricted housing unit. Bid, prison sentence. Big bitch, a death sentence. Binky, a binky is a homemade syringe that consists of an eyedropper, a pen shaft, and a guitar string. Getting a real syringe behind bars is understandably difficult, so prisoners make do with the resources they have. Blues, prison clothes. For women whose uniforms are a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, it's changed to color of t-shirt and blues. Board, the entity that adjudicates prison disciplinary reports. Usually just one guy in a tiny office. Bo boss, prison-issued tennis shoes. See also Kung Fu Joes, Skippies. Boneyard, Trailers used for conjugal visits. Archaic. Books. 1. Stamps. In certain facilities, books of stamps are used as currency. 2. An inmate's trust account, money held by the state for their purchases at commissary. E.g. she's got money on the books. Boss, a term used by inmates to refer to officers working as guards. Began in the early years of penitentiaries as sorry son of a bitch, spelled backwards. Inmate bosses are simply more experienced, wiser inmates who advise others. Box, the disciplinary confinement. Usually an 8x10 cell, occupied by 2 people on 23.5 hour/day lockdown, broken only by 3 showers and 1 change of clothes per week. Break fluid, psychiatric meds such as liquid thorazine. Brogans, the state-issued work boots that inmates wear. Brownies, people who work in the kitchen. They usually wear different uniforms. Bug, a prison staff member who can't be trusted. Bullet, a 1-year sentence. Bundle, a small package containing tobacco or drugs. Bunkie, roommate. A person you share a bunk bed with. Buck Rogers time, a sentence with parole unimaginably far in the future. Burned, when an inmate has caused another to see his penis either by accident or on purpose, you are said to have been burned. Butt naked cell, a cell in which the prisoner is put on property restriction, that is, deprived of all belongings including clothing and bedding. Usually in solitary confinement. C. Cadillac, coffee with cream and sugar, also refers to an inmate's bunk. Cadillac job, a plum work assignment. Cage, 1 cell. Calling the cops, making enough noise or a scene to attract the attention of prison staff. Camp, another name for certain minimum security prisons, since prisons are often referred to as work camps. There are various types of camps: suite, high on rehabilitative opportunities; psych camp, a mental health facility. Car, a prison clique marked by extreme and blind loyalty. The group that one associates with while in prison, determined by gang affiliation or some other commonality like age, race, sexual identity, etc. Case, a disciplinary report written on an inmate for a rule infraction, derived from court case. Cat head, an archaic way of describing biscuits or rolls. Most prisons serve bread exclusively now. Catch a pair, a term used by correctional officers to instruct a group of inmates to stand in pairs for count or control purposes. Catch a ride, to get high with a friend's drugs. Catch out, any person whether it be an inmate or officer, that could not handle the pressure of any area, and left for this reason. Catching the chain, when an inmate is leaving. Cellie, cellmate. Roommate. Cell warrior, an inmate who acts tough when locked in his cell, but is a coward face to face. Chalk, prison moonshine. See also hooch, pruno. Chatted out, someone who has gone crazy. Checked, when one person had scolded another person and the person that has been scolded fails, or is afraid to make a rebuttal, that person is said to have been checked. If one person continually allows the other to scold him/her without making a rebuttal, that person is said to be in check. Checking in, requesting protective custody, which also occurs in solitary confinement. Chin check, to punch an inmate in the jaw to see if he'll fight back. Choke sandwich, a peanut butter sandwich with no jelly. COMO, an acronym for child molester. Most people assume that a person convicted of a sex offense is automatically a COMO, which is wrong. There's a difference between a 17-year-old kid who had sex with his 16-year-old girlfriend and a person who's committed serial rape. Chow, a meal. Chronic discipline unit. Where inmates with many disciplinary infractions live. Chronic sweep, an event during which a team of guards wander the prison and pick up the prisoners with the worst discipline records to house them in the chronic discipline unit. Classification office/team, staffer responsible for determining an inmate's risk level, based on a number of factors, such as nature and severity of crime, length of sentence, medical and mental health needs, history of violence, education, and work history. In some facilities, this group is also responsible for inmate work assignments. Clavo, Spanish for nail, dangerous contraband. C/O, a correctional officer. A guard. Cowboy, a new correctional officer. Crossed out, when a person is taken from a good area, job, etc. for something they claim not to have done, or for something that they don't feel they should have been blamed for, they say they were crossed out. CTQ, confined to quarters. A disciplinary sanction whereby the inmate is restricted to her cell except for meals. Not only does she lose recreation privileges, she can't go to her prison work assignment. Cut your eyes, looking at someone or their belongings through the sides of one's eyes, normally thought of as an intent to steal the items or start a fight. D. Dap, a greeting or way of congratulating another, by pounding the bottom of one person's fist to the top of the other's. Diaper sniper, person accused of molesting a child. Diesel therapy, a lengthy bus trip, sometimes used as punishment or a way to reduce a population count temporarily for an event like an inspection. Ding wing, mental health ward. Dime, 10-year sentence. Dinner and a show, when inmates eat in the chow hall and watch other inmates fight and get pepper sprayed by the guards. Doby, a biscuit or roll, derived from the word adobe, brick. Dog, what an inmate often calls his friends, the closest friend is often referred to as a road dog. Doing the Dutch, committing suicide. Dotted up, tattooed. Down, a term in prison. E.g., how many times have you been down? Drama, can be mere verbal conflict but sometimes means a fight or an assault. Drop a slip, snitch on someone by reporting them in writing and placing the paper in the same box as other requests for assistance, like legal calls. Dropped, when an officer forcibly wrestles an inmate to the ground to be restrained. Dry snitching, ratting out another inmate by talking loudly about his bad behavior in front of guards. Giving information without naming names. Duck, a correctional officer who's seen as gullible, easily manipulated or bribed to smuggle in contraband. Also refers to a correctional official who reveals personal information about other prison staff to inmates. Dump truck, overweight, lazy inmate. Dungeon, punitive segregation or solitary confinement, where an inmate is placed to serve a sentence for no more than 15 days as the result of being convicted of a disciplinary offense. E. Education, the school. The place in the facility where inmates can take GED or college classes, go to the library, use a typewriter, make photocopies, or check out books. Erasers, chunks of processed chicken. Eyeball, when someone is staring at your things they are said to be eyeballing you. F. Fair one, a fair fight, one with no weapons involved. Fatty girl cake, a prison dessert made by smashing up all cake-like items from the commissary, brownies, cakes, cookies, muffins, and putting them in a bowl together and binding them with non-dairy creamer and topping it with marshmallow fluff and pieces of candy. Fiend, a person who's addicted to something, drugs, sex, food. Fish, in men's facilities, this is the term used for new prisoners. A fish is new to prison politics, the reality of how facilities run. Fishing line, made from torn sheets or string, having a weighted object tied to one end and used to throw down the run to inmates in other cells to pass items. Fishing pole, a device made from rolled up newspaper or other paper, with a paper clip in one end, used for retrieving items from the runs in front of their cells. Flick, a photograph or picture torn from a magazine. Rel, throwing flicks, taking pictures. Fresh meat, a batch of new inmates. Frequent flyer, a recidivist. Funky, an inmate who does not shower. G. Gay for this day, selective and temporary sexual orientation that causes both men and women to become involved with people of the same sex for the time they're incarcerated and nothing longer. Gen Pop, general population. Inmates who are not housed in a special programming housing unit or medical/mental health unit. Getting buzzed, getting tattooed. Get hit, to catch a longer sentence, either by being denied parole, which doesn't lengthen the sentence, but rather prevents shortening it, or being arrested on new charges while you're incarcerated. Going psych, when a prisoner exhibits symptoms of severe mental illness such that he needs to be transferred to a psych wing or even a separate facility. Sometimes inmates do this on purpose. Goon squad, any group of prison guards that are working together to effect prison discipline, either by investigating a matter, taking an inmate into custody or transporting him or her somewhere else. Got a body, to have killed another person. E.g., she's got, like, bodies on her. Usually a brag or exaggeration. Rarely used for people who are actually facing murder charges. Grapes, 411, information, gossip. Green light, the go-ahead to kill a person or gang affiliate on sight. Gump, a gump is what prisoners call a gay man on the inside. Gunning, masturbating in front of a correctional officer. More common than you would expect in women's facilities. H. Has the keys, the person who controls or calls the shots for a group or gang. High class, hepatitis C. Ho check, group beating given to prisoner to see if he'll stand up for himself. Hole, the, solitary confinement. Hooch, hooch is homemade, fermented alcoholic beverage made of sugar, some fruit or juice, and some yeast. It's fermented in a bag or airtight bowl and needs to be burped to relieve the pressure in the container. See also pruno, chalk. Hoop, to hide contraband in one's body cavity. See also tuck and keister. Hot medders, people who take over-the-counter medication. Hot one, a murder charge. Hot water, an officer is walking the tier, a warning to cease inappropriate behavior. House, your cell. In the cut, being in the cut means you are in a hidden area, away from a surveillance camera's prying eyes. Iron pile, weightlifting equipment, essentially non-existent in many facilities. J. Jack book, any magazine with pictures of women. Jail. A verb meaning to do time correctly and competently. E.g., bitch, learn how to jail. Jaunt, code for anything you want it to be. The meaning of the word is derived from context. This is a bastardized way of saying joint and can refer to anything such as a shank, razor, or other type of weapon. It can also refer to a book of stamps, the commissary, drugs, a book or magazine, workout gloves, food from the chow hall, and so on. It's a way to ask for something from another prisoner in front of the cops without letting on what you're talking about. J-cat, someone with mental issues. A crazy or foolish person. Jit or jitterbug, a loud, young punk who causes trouble in the form of gossip or rabble-rousing. Jody, a man sleeping with a prisoner's wife/girlfriend on the outside. Junebug, a prisoner considered to be a slave to others. K. Keister, to smuggle contraband inside one's anal cavity. See also tuck. Kickstand, a life sentence. Reference to the L of life sentence, comparing it to a bicycle's kickstand. Kite, a contraband note written on a small piece of paper that's folded and passed to others through underground methods. The menu on this website is a series of kites. Kitty kitty, term used by male inmates for a female correctional officer. Kung Fu Joes, skimpy, state-issued prison shoes. See also bobos, skippies. L. Lame duck, a vulnerable inmate standing alone in the prison yard, easy to prey upon. La raza, la raza is the term for unaffiliated Mexican inmates in facilities that have serious gang activity. Life jolt, a life sentence. LOC, loss of commissary as a disciplinary sanction. LOM, loss of personal mail as a disciplinary sanction. LOR, loss of recreation as a disciplinary sanction. LOV, loss of visits as a disciplinary sanction. Lockdown, when some kind of disturbance in prison causes guards to lock all inmates in their cells, indefinitely, until calm is restored. Often involves a shakedown. Lock in a sock, a weapon created from putting a combination lock inside a sock and swinging it. Also called a slock. Loss of life, when an inmate has been punished with multiple sanctions for a disciplinary infraction and has lost her commissary privileges, recreation, phone privileges, and her visits, she is on loss of life. LWOP, life without the possibility of parole, LWOP. Malinger, verb, meaning to walk slowly. A misuse of the word meaning to feign illness. Mandu, mandatory. Meat wagon, a hospital ambulance. Minute, a long time. E.g. You've been here a minute. What's it been? 5 years. Mafongo, in prison, it's a meal that's a mixture of chips, ramen, soups, instant rice, mackerel, pre-wrapped sausages and seasoning, adobo or sazon. Molly-whopped, to kick someone's ass in a fight or to get your ass kicked in a fight. Monkey mouth, a prisoner who goes on and on about nothing. Monster, the HIV. Also known as the virus. Netted up, someone who undergoes a mental breakdown in prison. New booties, inmates with first-time conviction. New jacks, new, inexperienced prison guards. Nickel, 5-year sentence. Ninja, the HIV/AIDS, sometimes used for STDs in general. Ninja Turtles, guards dressed in riot gear. OG, an original gangster, a label of respect given to older inmates who has been in the prison system a long time. On paper, under community supervision, either parole or probation. On the count, 1. A warning to inmates to get where they need to be for an official head count. 2. Representing your group of friends. On the door, getting ready to leave one's cell. On the door for chow, means get ready to leave your cell to go to a meal. On the line, has many meanings, but usually means something is for sale. Papa, Spanish for potato. It's a prison snack made from combining crushed potato chips, squeezed cheese and hot water to make a paste that is then spread out like a soft shell. Papers, drugs. They call it papers because they use a ripped-off piece of paper to package the drugs. Pay to stay, an extortion scheme whereby an inmate is threatened by others with recurring violence unless payments are made in the form of commissary or items stolen from prison workplaces like the kitchen, the laundry, the library, or the medical unit. PC, protective custody, a category of solitary confinement where the inmate needs protection from other inmates. Permanent pocket, refers to a person's anus. See also prison pocket. Playing on ass, gambling without money. Porcelain termite, a prisoner who breaks toilet/sink in cell when he gets upset. Porch, small area outside a person's cell door. Prison pocket, a person's anus. Prison safe, the safest place to keep drugs, shanks, dice, etc. during cell inspections and transfers. Prison wolf, a heterosexual prisoner who engages in sex with men while incarcerated. Programmer, an inmate who spends most of his time attending classes and improving himself, the nerds of prison. Pruno, a homemade alcohol made from fruit, bread, and anything with sugar, i.e. jelly, cookie cream, Tootsie Rolls, etc. and left to rot under a bunk for 3 days. Pumpkins, new inmates. Also gang members who were initiated by beaten in the head so badly that their heads swelled like pumpkins. Punk, derogatory for a transgender/homosexual or a weak individual. Put on camera, having one's behavior recorded for disciplinary reasons or while one is being escorted to solitary confinement. Ratchet, a nurse. Real talk, synonym for seriously or for real, used to let others know that you are talking honestly and sincerely and that what you are expressing is not a joke. Also used to affirm what others are saying is true. Recreation, the hour a day allowed outside one's cell. Ride leg, to suck up to staff to get favors. Robocop, guard who writes up every infraction, no matter how small. See also Ticketron. Roll call, 1. A mandatory meeting for your group or gang. 2. The official start of a new shift for staff. Road dog, prisoners who walk the track together during rec, also means close friends. Roll up your window, a request to stop eavesdropping on another inmate's conversation, especially do not comment on the conversation uninvited. Sancho, the person your wife/girlfriend is with on the outside. Send in/send out, ways of passing money. When you buy drugs or other items in prison, you can either pay with books or store or do a send in, send out, or street-to-street transaction. A send in is when you get people who are free to put money in the commissary account of the prisoner you owe. A send out is when you transfer money from your account to the prisoner's contacts out in the world. A street-to-street is when you get someone to send money to other people on the outside. Shakedown, when prison guards tear apart inmates' cells looking for contraband. Shank, homemade prison knife. Shiv, homemade prison knife. Shot caller, a shot caller is an inmate boss. Sometimes the leader of a gang. Skidbid, a short sentence where the prisoner is in and out so quickly that she leaves skid marks. Skip pies, skimpy, state-issued shoes for inmates. Essentially white keds without laces. Skittles, over-the-counter medications. Sometimes psychiatric medication. Sleep on steel, being deprived of sheets and blankets, usually because of suicide risk, but sometimes out of abuse. Slock, lock in a sock. Slop, prison food in the form of a loose casserole, usually tomato-based. Very insulting to prison kitchen supervisors. Slug, someone who rarely comes out of her cell. Soup, ramen noodles purchased from the prison commissary. 6-5, warning that a guard is approaching. Also 5-0. Spider monkey, someone doing hard time. Stainless steel ride, lethal injection. Stinger, a rigged heating element created out of metal, designed to get water to boil. Store, commissary. Inmates describe going shopping, meaning filling out the form for a commissary delivery. Sometimes refers to what commissary an inmate has on hand to give out or sell. Strapped, when someone is carrying a weapon. Stress box, pay phone. Sucker ducker, someone who stays away from people who cause trouble. Survival kit, bare minimum of what an inmate needs to live in a prison. Distributed at admission and in solitary confinement. Some combination of the following: pillowcase or sheet rolled up with a sheet, blanket, pillowcase, 2 pairs of socks, 2 underwear, 2 t-shirts, and a little bag with 1 hotel bar soap, 1 mini toothpaste, a mini pencil. Take flight, to attack a person using fists. Telephone receiver inverted, not slang exactly, but a sign to be obeyed. The telephone has been hung up with the receiver upside down, and if you are not the badass who put it that way, use it at your extreme peril. Ticket, disciplinary report. Ticketron or ticket master, a guard who is known to write many tickets or disciplinary reports. Time to feed the warden, saying that means one has to go to the bathroom. Tuji or Duji, synthetic marijuana. Called K2 or spice, Tuji has become very big in prison because it can't be detected in urine samples. Tuck, to place contraband in one's vaginal or anal cavities to smuggle it inside a facility. Turtle suit, a Ferguson gown. A dark-colored, quilted, and padded gown with a hexagonal pattern, held together by Velcro. It's like wrapping a person in a pot holder. Used for suicide prevention. TVP, texturized vegetable protein. Used in place of meat for cost savings. UA, urinalysis, or just a urine. A drug test. Vampire, people who draw blood in a fight. Vic, this is shorthand for victim. Prison is very predatory. People inside can behave in predatory ways. Viking, someone who is extremely lazy and unwilling to keep their living space or themselves clean. Violated, being cited by one's parole or probation officer for a parole or probation violation. very often results in being sent back to prison. W. Wolf tickets, false promises. Wham whams, sugary snacks like cookies and candy. Y. Yard, the yard, also known as the pound, is shorthand for a fenced-in area for outdoor recreation. Z. Zoom zooms, sugary snacks like cookies and candy. Chapter 3. Some jail resources. Getting arrested websites. freebeagles.org, what to expect if you are misfortunate to run into trouble with the law. aclu.org. drugactionNetwork.com/law/?content=guilty. actupiny.org/documents/ywedget.html, people intent on getting arrested. connectionscd.org.uk/yourrights_police and courts.asp, connections Cornwall and Devon, if you are arrested, you have the right to remain silent. gottrouble.com. handcuffblues.com. moneymatters101.com/legal/arrested.asp. refuseandresist.org. unthepolice.com. Bail bonds, bondsman companies. jhbail.com, bail bonds co. aboutbail.com. baileys.com. bailfish.com. bailbonds-santabara.com, California. ventura-bail-bonds.com, California. minutemanbail.com, California. prison-diaries.com, an ex-prisoner gives advice. She provides some websites, etc. Questions are answered at prison-diaries.com/explainers. facebook.com/pages/prison-diaries. twitter.com/a-prison-diary. tumblr.com/blog/prison-diaries. instagram.com/prison-diaries. flickr.com/?prison.diaries. pinterest.com/prison-diaries. youtube.com/channel/UCY4TM_JG570MW50aux6MSAG. At SpeedyVs. Prison activist websites. Aleph Institute. aleph-institute.org. Angulimala. Buddhist Prison Chaplaincy Organisation UK. angulimala.org.uk. Buddhist Peace Fellowship. BuddhistPeaceFellowship.org. Jews in Prison. JewsInPrison.org. Engaged Zen Foundation. engaged-zen.org. Inmate Religious Beliefs and Practices. Technical Reference Manual. nicc.org/library/017613. Justice Fellowship. TEM. justicefellowship.org. National Buddhist Prison Sangha. New York. mro.org/smr/nbps. Nur Ashki Jarahi Order/Sufi. Prison Project. nurazhkijarahi.org. Federation Prison Ministry UK. paganfed.org/comsrv-pre.shtml. Prison Dharma Network. prisondharmanetwork.org. Prison Legal News. prisonlegalnews.org. Prison Ministry Links. freedomlink.org/prison.html. The Prison Religion Project. prisonreligion.org. Religion Behind Bars. web.archive.org/web/20001201212900 then. fac.org/publicat/prison/table.htm.